about the issues that face this state in our little walk. You know, after the speaker said, if you can't raise $5 million, what are you going to do? I kind of thought about it, and I said, well, watch this. And we came up with a plan. We spent 64 days on the streets of Georgia. We started in Chickamauga, and we walked 1,068 miles around the state, shaking people's hands and asking them, what would you do if you were governor for a day? Now, when's the last time somebody asked you, what would you do if you were governor? What would you do if you were the state representative? What would you do if you were the county commissioner? 1,068 miles, 64 days. This is what we heard. Number one, the economy. How are you going to fix the economy? Well, I'll tell you how we're going to fix the economy. Number one, we're going to cut the corporate income tax in the state. You see, whether we like it or not, we need their jobs. We need jobs. So we're going to take the corporate income tax from 6% to 3% if you give me the opportunity to be your governor. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to cut the capital gains tax. We're going to cut that tax from 6% to a maximum of 2% so that we're more entrepreneur friendly and our high net worth people will live in Georgia instead of Florida or some of these other states that border us. Education. Education, public education specifically, was the number 2 thing on people's minds. This is what we're going to do with education. You see, we've got schools out there, individual schools. They're called 90-90-90 schools. They're 90% minority, 90% free and reduced lunch, and 90% of the students perform at or above grade level. We've got leadership in the individual schools in this state that knows how to get it done. We're going to pair the leadership in those individual schools with another individual school that demographically looks very much like that school. And we're going to reward the leadership of those schools with grants and other things to be spent specifically in those individual schools based on the improved performance of what was the underperforming school. Water. We've got issues with water all throughout the state. Now, we've got a court order that has put us under a very difficult timeline in the metropolitan area. It presses the issue forward. We should have been dealing with this a long time ago, and I want you to understand this. There's a lot of talk about building reservoirs so that there's additional capacity. Well, it's not just capacity. You see, once you use a gallon of water, that gallon of water has to be cleansed. So when you want to put the budget together for what it costs to fix this problem, if you want to be accurate and fair to the taxpayers, if you want to give them the real data that they need, you not only have to give them the cost of building the reservoir, but you have to give them the cost of building the system and the treatment plant. Because once that water goes down the drain, it has to be cleansed before it's put back into the river system. So when we talk about water, the first thing we're going to talk about is conservation. Specifically, I intend to take every government building, every state government building that has more than 50 male urinals and move it to no-flush technology. There's absolutely no reason in today's day and time for us to use a gallon of water each and every time a man steps up to a urinal. It is a waste of money. It is a waste of water. And I want you to think about this. In the one building in Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport, 80 million people come and go from there a year. Think about how much we can save in water just in that one building. Ladies and gentlemen, we can do this. We can do most of it with conservation. The other thing I want to talk to you about is transportation. You know, we had a statewide plan that we passed in the House. The Senate passed a regional. There's a legitimate debate there over whether it should be statewide or regional. But I want to tell you what I saw this past week. Of all the elections, there were 3 in this state. Polk County, the SPLOST failed. Fayette County, the SPLOST failed. Floyd County, the SPLOST passed by about 60 votes. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think people are going to go to the polls and give us any additional tax money. I can read between the lines right there. There's a clear and very present message to me as an elected official that you better do what you can with what you got, because we're not giving you any more. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you